Sometimes it's very difficult to tell whether the energy that you're feeling or the information that you're receiving is of a positive or a negative nature. And so I've definitely experienced both sides and worked with many people who have also experienced both sides. So I'd love to impart upon you the knowledge that I've gained through my own personal experience and others. So let's get started. When it comes to voices, many times when we are tapping into our guides, we go into a meditative state and we ask questions, or we engage with our guides, or in some cases negative entity attachments, and we don't necessarily know that, then we'll hear responses. We'll hear verbal responses, we'll see visuals, we'll have a feeling, we'll know something that we didn't know before. And I've had many videos where I teach people how to do that and how to tap in. So I won't waste a bunch of time right now talking about that. But what I will do is explain that when you do hear a voice of a being that is outside of yourself, being it's high frequency or low frequency, then there are many times that you're not totally sure whether a being is which category they're in. So one of the first things to remember is that high frequency beings never give you advice. They always tell you that it's up to you. If you try to ask a question, should I do this or should I do that? You're not going to get a very clear answer, because from a high frequency being, they're going to say, there is no such thing as should. It's your choice. It's up to you. It's based on how you feel or how you think. So but if you do hear, well, if you ask, should I do this or should I do that? If you do hear a voice that says, yeah, you should definitely do this or you should definitely not do that, then you're probably not speaking to the highest frequency individual. Anytime that you are told that something bad is going to happen if you do this, even if it's not, if they say something bad is going to happen, high frequency beings generally don't tell you that something bad is going to happen, because now from their perspective, there is no such thing as good or bad. All things are unconditional love. All things are valid experiences that you have on this crazy planet that we're on. So from that point, now we have to look at the feeling, the energetic feeling. In many cases, that feeling is very clear, but in some cases it's not. In some cases it has that full body chill sensation, and then you can't tell whether that full body chill is something positive or something negative. So in these cases, you're really going to have to look at, how did you feel when you felt that? Did you feel invigorated? Did you feel excited? Did you feel blown away by the majesty or the power, the energy? Did you feel that this was something that is going to make a huge change in your life, or it's going to be something that you're going to learn deep lessons from, or carry information or knowledge to others? There's this uplifting sort of feeling that you're going to receive most generally from a high frequency being. Low energy is going to feel different. It's going to have a signature, a different signature, a signature of maybe dread, or a signature of foreboding, or it's usually fear-based, right? Because if you think about it, the low frequency emotions like fear are based on a prediction of the future. So if you feel like, oh, something is about to happen and it's like, ugh, it doesn't feel totally right, that is not a high frequency being. So for instance, I was driving one time and I got distracted by something, my phone on the console, or the console itself, I don't remember, and I looked at it for maybe a second too long, and I heard in my voice, look out. And I looked up and I just was able to move over. I was starting to drift into the oncoming traffic lane. So I was able to just move over and everything was fine. So in that case, it wasn't like, this is going to be bad. I didn't see this horrible experience. I just simply heard a little warning, look out. And so I was able to easily navigate that. If you're seeing all this negativity and misery and so forth, then obviously you're in a lower frequency experience. But that high frequency experience was, hey, you're about to do something that is outside of what we want for you. We know that you're on a particular path and trajectory, and we want to make sure that you continue on that. So here's a little warning, beware. That has been the most negative experience that I've ever had when I'm working with the high frequency beings that I work with, the Hathors, the Mescalito, and some of the others that I work with. Sometimes the difference is so subtle, it's just the content itself. So the information that you might receive, you might feel like, oh, okay, this sounds valid, this sounds informative and correct, but you have to dig a little deeper. High frequency beings are not going to tell you that one way that the universe works is the only way. They are very open to the idea that there are many ways that the universe works. This is hard for us to understand because we have this linear thinking. We say, if it's this way, then it's not that way. But all ways can exist simultaneously in this crazy existence that we're in. It can be that we are all source, and that source or the creator is a separate being. It can be that we live in these little separate bubbles, and we manifest within these separate bubbles, and only when the bubbles interact with each other do we actually have some sort of crossover of possibility. There's just so many different ways to look at the way that the universe works. If you have an entity telling you that it's only this way and it's not that other way, then it's probably not the highest frequency being possible. Another one is when your body is actually used by the high frequency being to do something. This happens in channeling, this happens in light language, this also happens in body motions. There's another type of light language where the body moves, and you'll see different light workers doing that. And recently I've begun doing that as well. This is coming to me through a high frequency spirit called Mescalito. And so he controls my shoulders and will move my shoulders around and my legs and my arms a little bit. So there's a big difference between that type of experience and a negative entity possession type of experience. A negative entity possession, they don't ask for your permission, they just take over and start doing things. And sometimes you're actually not able to regain control, that you are controlled against your will. In my case with Mescalito and in others who do physical light language, we are asking them to go ahead and do it. We are suggesting, hey, I would like my intention is to heal this person that I'm working with. My intention is to communicate this information to another person. And in that case, you are giving permission, and so you're allowing them to make a motion or a change in your physical movement. At any time, I can just take over again, and now Mescalito does not have control over my body in any way. If you are not able to take control again, then this is a lower frequency being. Now, the very first time that Mescalito started working with me, I didn't ask him to do this. I didn't ask him. My intention wasn't, hey, go ahead and move my body, because I didn't know that it was a possibility. He had to do it, and I had to accept it. So in the situation, all of a sudden my body started moving. I was confused by this. I was surprised that this was happening. And I did not receive the verbal explanation, hey, I'm doing this to you right now. I had to observe and experience and allow and then experiment. So I allowed, and then I said, okay, well, I want to take back over again. And I was able to. So I've known through now lots of practice with Mescalito that it is Mescalito in the first place, and that it is not something that is negative or bad. So you do have to be open, and also be open to experimentation. Sometimes people get into such fear that they say, well, I don't even want this thing to do anything to me. And so that prevents any possible expansion and learning and lessons and really possibilities for you. So those are just a couple of the ways that you can distinguish between a negative and a positive entity or energy. I'm sure there are many more, and many more that I've yet to discover, but as I continue to work with people of all different types, and as I help people in my program detaching from negative entities or detaching from societal programming or whatever, I get to meet all kinds of amazing light workers and other beings who are here to do amazing things. And when they come into my program, in many cases, they unshackle themselves from those attachments, and they start discovering their spiritual gifts, and they start discovering the beings that they can speak to or that they can work with that are very powerful and very helpful and very healing or very informative and insightful. So thank you so much for watching this video. It thrills me to death to be able to continue to make these and have people comment and like and subscribe to my channel after this time. It's really special, and I just appreciate it so much. So if you could do those things, it would really help me, because of course I want to continue to reach out to more and more people and make a difference in people's lives. I love you unconditionally. And I'll see you in the next video.